I mean, the very fact that we have a thing called deep fakes says a lot about our trust factor with AI, and it's going to have to get really sophisticated to continue to trick us. And I think I've said this before, or graphics are just too powerful, images are just too powerful, and they'll overwhelm our rational brain, and we'll just go straight to, I agree with that, or I disagree with that, because it's exactly what supports my echo chamber, and that's where we're in trouble. And frankly, you need to be educated to overcome that. I don't care who you are.
Welcome again to It Doesn't Take a Genius. Conversation with introspective perspectives and pithy points of view. Here are your hosts, my friends, Max and Marty.
I think that's Mark and Mike.
Yeah, whatever.
Ramsey!
Everybody likes lip smacking in their audio podcasting, I know, but hey there, Marshall. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing good, but apparently not as well as you. You seem to be, this day after Halloween, you seem to have some candy, maybe a lollipop that maybe originally belonged to one of your 18 children.
It's true. It's just 4. But yes, I am currently eating a dad tax as we speak. So, and I don't think she realized this, but it's a dum-dum sucker, and it's the best flavor, which is
pineapple.
I'm going to say that's number 2. Number 1 is butterscotch.
Butterscotch. No, you get butterscotch. Butterscotch has to be round with that little, oranges paper with no stick. Yeah, it's got to be the original. Yeah. Way that butterscotch was meant to be delivered.
Like Brock's.
Yes,
the best candy brand of my childhood. Brock's.
The one Grandma always had.
Anyway,
right. So you're fully partaking in the candy tax, the dad tax there.
It's been a great Halloween. I will tell you. I mentioned in the last episode that we celebrate basically a 3-month holiday season the day after Halloween, and so here's a picture for those watching on YouTube. Our many fans. Well, both of our fans. This is 13 cousins. All Star Wars Jawas. It was pretty fun. And I walked around with my little Bluetooth speaker playing Star Wars music. It was a good time.
Well, you gotta have your entrance song.
Right.
That makes perfect sense. To get 13 kids to all dress as the same character, that's right there is impressive. That's leadership.
They had a blast. They went back and watched the Charlie Brown Halloween special. As we're leaving the party, it began snowing. I mean, it was literally like, your season may now begin, Mark Ramsey. So yeah, we're having a good time, and I'm eating candy, and life's good. So anyway, there's 3 minutes of your life you'll never get back, me telling you about how great this time of year is. So there you go.
Well, no, I like it. Because we're gonna dive into the technology realm today with our episode around artificial intelligence. We've done 3 or 4 of these, and the news just keeps coming.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is there's actually a website called artificialintelligencenews.com. like somebody went, well, there's a lot of news around this. Somebody should make a website. So you can go on to artificialintelligencenews.com and learn about all the latest stuff. So
why not?
Yeah, we started, we talk about this just informally every now and then. So we wanted to bring you up to the speed on, some of the stuff that we're seeing, some of the amazing, miraculous stuff that's going on, some of the terrifying stuff that's happening as well. So what are you seeing out there?
Well, I'll tell you, it'll be interesting to see sort of where this conversation flows, because, I mean, honestly, we would not be doing this if we didn't believe you as a leader in the audience need to be thinking about the fact that this is going to be hitting you in the face or creeping up into your work in some form or fashion. And sometimes it's going to be really silly stuff. We've not talked about it on air, but they're something I was bringing you up to speed on from, I think it was late last year, Loeb. We're not going to link to it. We're not going to show any pictures, but basically somebody was fooling around using Dolly, the AI image generator, and was basically giving it negative prompts saying, give me the opposite of this. And it's a little over my head how these prompts just ended up generating this woman. And you keep getting the picture of this same woman, and she's maybe like a slightly older woman. She has some rashes on her face and does not look normal. She looks sad or sometimes angry, but it doesn't look natural. And it keeps putting her into incredibly violent images and pictures. And so anyway, as silly as this sounds, people are wondering if like Bigfoot and Sasquatch and the Mothman that we have found our first cryptid who is a part of the metaverse, who is purely online, this character Loeb. So I mean, that's ridiculous, right? That's ridiculous.
Oh yeah. And
Mike,
yeah,
what's your backdrop there?
Yeah, well, before we move on to that, first of all, you showed me the picture of Loeb. Yeah, and it's incredibly disturbing. Yeah, there's just something evil,
I'm really sorry
about that woman. And it's interesting, to think about. This is the digital version of the abominable snowman. There's sightings; they keep showing up in different places, but nobody's sure why or how, or if it. The fun version of it would be AI is rickrolling us. So when we least expect it, it's just going to throw up this image like, "Ha, got you again, made you look," and there you go. And yeah, you just have to deal with this. This is an inside artificial intelligence joke that it's playing on the world.
Well, and if AI develops an actual sense of humor, I mean, that really would say something about its capacity to become sentient and human, which is even more disturbing, frankly, now that you put that into my brain. So thanks a lot.
Oh yeah.
By the way, I met somebody just this month who first off had a little Bubby Child sticker for all the fans out there of little Bubby Child. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we will be posting to this. It's Appalachian humor for Appalachians, but it had the character in the sticker had a Mothman t-shirt, and I was like, hey, I just read about the Mothman, and this gentleman is from the town in West Virginia. I believe it's Point Pleasant, West Virginia, where the Mothman was sighted over and over again in the 70s, I think, or the 60s. And his mother, he says, my mother doesn't believe a bit of it, but she says she swears that she did indeed see the men in black who were seen throughout the town in black Cadillacs, trying to ferret out information about the Mothman. So she swears, even though she thinks it's all hooey, that there were men in black in town that were hoovering up information during that year where everything went hanky in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. So little factoid for you there. Yeah.
Man, yeah. What a brush with greatness that is.
I know. I felt honored, honestly.
Yeah. And the fact that people don't know about Appalachian themed cartoon memes, just shows the limited amount of exposure they've gotten to, high society in the world and culture.
Oh, wait until you see it. I mean, it is 100%, and it's perfection. Some of his humor. Anyway, speaking of fun and AI, or creepy and AI, you've experimented a little bit yourself.
Oh yeah. I was looking at something the other day, and it was talking about AI as a Ouija board.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so for one of our younger viewers, Ouija board was this board, and you had this little device on the top, and everybody put their hands on it, and you would ask the spirit world questions, and then the device would, with your guidance, would spell out the answers. And so basically you were summoning spirits to tell you messages and give you information and updates and predictions and things like that. And so incredibly creepy. The fact that it was marketed as a child's toy. It's right up there with lawn darts. And Mattel's creepy crawlies. Let's just see if we can injure people, in this case, psychologically. So Of course, somebody went AI, right? This predictive,
Yep.
model is perfect for Ouija. So now you
Yep.
can go to Ouija.com, log on to the AI,
Mhm.
and you get the board, the traditional Ouija board. Only now there's an AI prompt bar, and you
Mhm.
can type into it, are there spirits nearby? And the little pointer went to yes, and then I tried, what's your name? And it took me by surprise at first, because it works just like a Ouija board. The pointer was going to different letters, and I forgot to write them down. It's like, wait a minute.
Oh, it doesn't give you text output. It gives you a
Oh,
graphic.
yeah. The little pointer's moving around on the screen, and so you have to get a piece of paper and write down what are all the letters in sequence to get the answer. Yeah, I had no idea. I thought the same thing. It was just going to like present me with the spirit world was going to give me a text message.
That's so. I'm going to say two things about that. The first is, yeah, psychological damage or spiritual damage. I have a friend who was an atheist in high school, and he and his buddies at a party were messing around with a Ouija board. They were like in a rock band together, and they were treating it very sarcastically, and they started getting answers, like, and then they got some answers that terrified them, and I can't remember what it was that made them, like, they all just put it up. They were like, we have to burn this. We, like, something is real, and we have to burn this. And he became a Christian after that incident. But so like, there's danger here, I would say, psychologically, spiritually, however you want to look at it. But this is very interesting on Hasbro's part, that they're not going to just give you text output. They're going to do something to make it an experience and keep some theater as a part of what you're doing when you interact with the AI. That's interesting to me. That's smart on their part.
Oh yeah. So yeah, they're just literally, you always talk about how do you make the virtual experience similar to the in-person experience. In this case, they've actually done it.
Yeah.
The only difference is you type the question versus saying it up into the spirit world ether. And yeah, so it mirrors the experience. So yeah, I had to ask, spirit, can you tell me your name again? Because I wasn't ready to write it down. And then we're off and running.
Tell me it gave you a name like Steve, or
no, it said am spirit. Yeah,
terrible.
Yeah, my mom had an insane run-in with a Ouija board. Her and three of her friends used to carry one around all the time. They kept it in the car. They'd go to the Elks Lodge or whatever, and then they'd sit down, right? They'd have dinner or lunch or whatever. Then they'd get out the Ouija board, and they summoned the spirit of a cabin boy on a whaling ship. And what was interesting was he spelled phonetically. Like he spelled words like he was sounding them out, like somebody with an 18th century vocabulary would do. And then he didn't know modern words. Like they asked him, will there be a nuclear war? And he'd say, I don't know what that means.
What is nuclear?
Yeah, what is nuclear? Right. And he'd spell it he'd spell it like George Bush used to say it. So and at some point the exact same thing happened. They started asking it some stuff. They got so freaked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all agreed. They took a pact, they put it away, they never spoke or talked to it again.
I think that's wise.
Yeah.
There's a great episode of Newhart where Stephanie and what's his name? Michael, whatever Stephanie's boyfriend is, they're both very shallow, and there's there's some concern that the Ouija board's giving them an answer where they won't be together forever, and then finally realizes that Michael, his true love is actually his sports car. It's not actually Stephanie. That was the issue.
I love my car.
Anyway.
So yeah, there's a neat adaptation, right? We've come this far. We've got this insane technology that can read everything on the internet and distill it down into amazing ideas, and we've turned it into a Ouija board.
Yep.
So that's pretty amazing.
That's modern society for you.
That's us. Yeah, yeah. I got a computer that has more power than all the computers that took man to the moon. What am I doing with it? Watching cat videos.
Yep. Yep.
Like
100%.
we're just not right. So on the legal front, there's been some developments around AI.
Yes.
Yes, our government, President Biden, issued an executive order that we need to regulate and rein in AI. We need to right, such vague language. We need to develop in a way that's safe and will not cause future harm.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, the government in UK is having a global AI summit. They've called a meeting, scientists and technology people and leaders from around the world. And what's really cool is we'll test your history knowledge. The global AI summit will be held at Bletchley Park.
I don't know it.
You don't know the significance of Bletchley Park?
Nope.
I've stumped the Ramsey. Best day ever. So Bletchley Park was where the British had their decoding services.
Oh.
That's where they cracked the Enigma code.
Enigma. Yeah.
Learned to read the German code.
Of course.
So yeah, that was the birthplace of computers.
Yeah.
Right, touring in his first computer, and so they're going to have the global summit at Bletchley Park.
That's clever. That's clever.
Yeah. This is where it started, and I guess if you could extrapolate it out, this is how it all ends. which part of their mantra is they want to mitigate the risk of human extinction.
I mean, good call.
Worthy cause.
Yeah.
Mitigating the risk of human extinction.
Well, and it's it's always been the case, right, that technology is faster than government. So I just don't know how this is even going to be possible. Biden's, it's an executive order. There's no teeth in it. It's sort of hoping to get the legislature to take action. But what kind of action? By the time we get there, I feel like it'll be out of date. In fact, did you see the story about an offshore computing complex for AI? It's Dell Complex, DEL, Dell Complex. And basically, it's going to be sovereign. It's going to be offshore and sovereign, a floating barge with I printed it out here somewhere. I don't know how many NVIDIA processors on it, and will be used to deploy large-scale AI models and can't be touched by government. They're going to have friendly governments that will help them with, protection. They're going to have lots of camouflage and jamming techniques that keep the barge from, being destroyed, being found and destroyed. They're going to have a full-time staff who lives there so that they are citizens of the barge. It gets weirder and weirder the more you think about it, but it's basically just go start reading William Gibson novels, like I've mentioned many times in the past. I mean, just the cyberpunk stuff that's what this is all about. It's all, we're living in a cyberpunk dystopia. We don't know it yet. And as you said, this is how it all ends. T.S. Eliot said that, right? This is how it ends, not with a bang, but with a whimper. We're not even going to realize.
Well, I laugh because of the way you say it so casually. Well, this is it. Yeah, we should have seen that coming. We're goners. I saw where Amazon is investing $4 billion with a B. Mm-hmm. dollars in Anthropic, and their chat bot is called Claude. Apparently Claude is going to be helping Amazon, continue in its quest of, for world domination.
Yeah, and they see it as helping their Amazon Web Services functions, which, my understanding is that's really the only profitable part of Amazon. Everything else is like a loss leader. scarfing up market share for sure, and maybe some of those are profitable now, but it's Amazon Web Services is where it's at. So if it can take AWS to the next level, I mean, that's just more dominance for Amazon. That's my pitiful attempt at explaining something I don't really know much about, but it's happening so fast. It's happening so fast.
Oh yeah. Well, the fact they're willing to put $4 billion into it.
Yeah.
That's an amazing investment.
Yeah.
Into this particular AI opportunity.
And Dell Complex, by the way, I have no idea how much funding they have. They're talking about a serious, I mean, this would be like, supervillain level, production values. And currently their website is selling, like logoed windbreakers. So, I just don't know that it's a fully functional thing yet. But the fact that people are like, yeah, you know what, we're going to have to figure out something to get around the government regs. That I mean, how would they even enforce them anyway? I just don't see it.
Well, all I kept thinking was, how do you get that much electricity to the barge?
Yeah.
I've got to have internet access that's insanely high width, and then I've got to have insane amounts of electrical power.
When they talked about using deep sea water to cool, so that makes sense. But I mean, yeah, sounds pretty serious to me.
Oh yeah. Well, the fascinating part will be to see, what of all these things actually come to fruition,
right?
And how does this thing start to impact our daily lives?
Yep.
And I noticed when I Google search anything now, the first results are AI results.
Yeah.
Here's the answer to your question according to our AI model. And then underneath that, you get the sponsored links. And then underneath that, you get the organic search. So Google is already, because my prediction was back in January I said that the AI would put Google out of business. Yep. If there was ever something that could make Google irrelevant, it would be AI. Yeah. Obviously, Google listens to the podcast. They got out there and went, "Hey, we got to get out ahead of this and incorporate it." So you've got Microsoft, who is a big part of OpenAI, and right. their search engine, integration with AI. So now it's all starting to meld together, and we're seeing that in the workplace. This particular Zoom now has AI capabilities, so. In this case, we're recording a video, and when we're done recording the video, the AI will go through, listen to the whole thing, write us a summary, wonderful bullet pointed summary, and then it will take the video and divide it into chapters. Mm-hmm. So it'll say, okay, here's when they change topics, and it'll label that chapter and break it into that. So each video could be whatever that segment of discussion is about. All that done behind the scenes with no human input. Just by the machine learning, the machine listening, and the AI analysis.
So you can think about how much do you want the human touch, right? And how much would you like to offload some things? We'll never, you and I, with our budget of $0, that's not true. We spend money for Zoom and we spend money for podcast hosting, but we don't spend money on this thing, and there's no way I would spend the amount of time it would take to divide it into chapters and produce a transcript that I type up myself when I'm doing the production and editing. We'd never do that. Okay, so AI can take that role, and we're happy to have it take that role. There might be some other things where we say, oh, wow, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with AI taking that role, right? Like things that require judgment calls. For instance, you start thinking about Jurassic Park, and the idea of you spent so long figuring out if we could that you never stopped to think if we should. That's going to be downstream, something that we wrestle with in probably in ways that we don't even understand right now. Like sort of like cars. Who gets a driver's license? Does it really make sense for sending two teenagers off by themselves when they've never had any limits before, thrown off of them like this? Teen pregnancy went way up because of cars, the fact that teens could drive around in cars by themselves. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I'm just saying that was an impact that we didn't foresee, right? We didn't see that happening. So I'm excited that Zoom is doing some of the things it's doing. I'm just not sure what are the other things that it's AI is going to offer to do that we're going to accept that's going to cause heartache down the road.
Oh, definitely. And when I looked at it, not necessarily for the podcast, but when we're having a meeting on Zoom and having the artificial intelligence within Zoom take the meeting minutes, summarize them, and it will. And you can ask the AI, what were the action items that came out of this particular discussion?
Yeah.
And it'll go through and say, all right, here's what everybody committed to. Here was the actions that will need to be followed up on.
Yeah.
And to have that done for you automatically, wow, that is so cool.
Awfully handy. Handy.
Yeah.
And if you thought of, there's a job replaced, right? Like we don't need an administrative assistant now. Not that we could have afforded it anyway, but I mean, we just don't need one.
I was going to say, who is our administrative assistant? Obviously, I haven't been to the staff meetings for a while because I missed that hire. But no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, there are jobs that or it's enhancements.
Yeah.
So we can now offer up a written transcript of the podcast as if any of our two listeners would want that, but it could be available at zero cost.
Right.
Zero cost. Just it was interesting because Zoom didn't make it, and it may be this at some point, Zoom didn't make it an additional cost.
Yeah.
It was just, hey, as part of your current Zoom expense, here you go. Here's another feature within that, and you're like, okay, this is pretty cool.
Well, and so let's think about some of the jobs that it could take that, this is where it gets really gray, not black and white for me. Can Zoom analyze literature? Yeah. Can it, craft an argument for me that I could use in a presentation, in a workshop? I mean, yeah. I mean, it, could it write a speech for me? Yeah. Does a president need a speech writer? Well, I mean, now we're talking about handing over some reins to it. A human would still need to direct some prompts, right? They'd still need to do some guidance for the AI, but I mean, a lot of labor goes away. And there was an article I shared with you that basically said, if all that's true, if it really can do all those things, why educate people? Why educate people?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll share that.
Well, why would we educate a wide group of people?
Yeah,
we only need a few.
Right.
I was watching this publisher, and she was talking about AI and all that, and she said AI will replace all the junior copywriters. So the entry level guys writing the initial copy, she said, but you will still need senior copywriters to go through what the AI has created and clean it up. So now the junior copywriters, we don't need to educate that group of people.
Yep.
We only need a few senior copywriters to be educated enough to make this palatable for the masses.
Mike, I had that very experience yesterday. And it was for some work you and I are doing. I haven't told you this, and for anybody at a certain auto group who might be listening, wink, wink, you're getting a preview here. But I was running through the stages of team development. I was crafting some emails to talk about the 5 stages, and I knew in my head the perfect example of this is the band U2. And I think we've even talked about it on the podcast before, but I started getting really good about my prompts of how to revise the emails. And I got to a point where I really wanted to insert some quotes. And I know enough about U2 that I read those emails and I said, Bono, there is no way he ever said that. And so I went back and Googled the quote. And I was right. Basically, I didn't realize this, but ChatGPT basically finally, after about 4 times of me asking and backing it into a corner, said, yeah, I actually can't give you quotes. That's not something I do. So they were fake quotes right from the get-go. Maybe a junior copywriter would not give you fake quotes, but a senior copywriter would catch it. And so maybe I don't need the junior. I still need the senior. I need somebody to guide this thing. But that sort of begs the question, which again, this article about why train people, why educate people, we'll link to it. But that was sort of its point was, education's not just for knowledge transfer. That's training, which is very important, and it's a thing you and I have helped a lot of people with. It's a valuable thing in the world. But education is it's wisdom and virtue and cultivating human beings that are really human, right? And so AI, in at least its current form, cannot do that. It cannot be a human, and it cannot cultivate humans. You need relationships for that. And so now we're back to talking about relationships and the beauty of cultivating men and women of virtue. Those are valuable things in this world, and AI at this point cannot do that.
At this point, yes, you are.
We always say that at the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know it's out there. It's reading all the fiction and nonfiction that's ever been written.
It is.
It's reading. Was it Machiavelli?
Yeah.
Right. So it's learning. Okay, how do I manipulate people? How do I?
Yep.
It's reading how to win friends and influence enemies. Right. It's reading all these books and going, all right, this is how you get humans to do stuff.
Yeah. Well, and there it is, right? Because I now don't trust ChatGPT to give me real quotes, and there are horrible examples of the misuses of AI during wartime, creating deep fakes and so on. I mean, the very fact that we have a thing called deep fakes says a lot about our trust factor with AI, and it's going to have to get really sophisticated to continue to trick us. And I think I've said this before, or graphics are just too powerful, images are just too powerful, and they'll overwhelm our rational brain, and we'll just go straight to, I agree with that, or I disagree with that, because it's exactly what supports my echo chamber. And that's where we're in trouble. And frankly, you need to be educated to overcome that. I don't care who you are. Oh,
there's no doubt. Yeah, I think you got people making the case for less education, and the reality is, actually, it's making the case for more education, more critical thinking, skepticism, and questioning the things that you're seeing, and the way you're seeing them, all has to be part of everyday life now.
Yeah, spot on.
It's interesting when you listen to you watch a video and you listen to the narration, and you'd swear it was a human until they mispronounce one word. And you can see you can hear the computer sounding it out, kind of. I listened to one the other day, and it instead of demise, it was demise. And it's like, oh wait, and up until that point, I did not know it was the machine.
Flawless.
Yeah. And then it was interesting because later on it pronounced it correctly in a different sentence. So it's learning context, and then so that's happening. So it's all starting to come together. On that front, there's another company, another piece of software out there called Nightshade. So Nightshade, its goal is for artists to be able to put things on the internet and stop AI from being able to look at it and bring it into other AI developed art.
Just you can't hoover it up and use it, Mr. AI. You have to let it be a piece of art.
Yep, exactly. Okay. So yeah, apparently it changes pixels, individual pixels, in such a way that it thwarts the AI's ability to scan the image, but the human eye sees it exactly as you created it.
Boy, now that's interesting, because that's going to be an arms race too, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Because somebody's going to build an anti-Nightshade software that gets around that. And so, yeah, it's interesting, that Yeah, the stop gaps. There's already alternative AIs where you can take, say, if I'm a teacher and the kid turns in an essay, I can plug the essay into this tool, and it'll tell me that, okay, this was written by the Skynet. So and now there's tools that will take your AI generated content and you plug them into that, and then it'll thwart the tool that's supposed to tell me if it was written by Skynet. So it just keeps, in this short amount of time, you can just see it ratcheting up, right? It just keeps moving up.
Amazing. I did do another utility function of AI recently where I asked it to give me the items that I should put into a table to compare insurance companies and health sharing companies.
Ooh.
And it gave me like 15 things to compare. But see, that's putting it in front of me and saying, here are the elements of it. Now you go do the judgment calls. You go do the work that requires evaluation and analysis, instead of, let me spoon feed you everything that I think you should know about XYZ, which that is a little scary, right? I mean, that's, we don't want that. We don't want that.
Right. And at some point, the sponsor of, who's ever bought the most right now, your search is directed by SEO spins and SEM and things like that. So what you see is manipulated by money. And it's probably already happening, but yeah, the AI results that you're getting are going to be influenced by money. And so if I know that people are saying, hey, write me a comparison between different insurance companies around this, if I pay enough money, I can get mine to look more favorably in that AI printout. And
it won't be flagged at all. There won't be a little advertisement bug or something. It's just part of the system.
Yep, we'll just see it. So that'll be interesting to see as well, right? How do we get around that and use this tool? And we've talked about this before. The person who can write the best prompt, the best request of the AI, will be incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
And they're seeing people with English degrees, philosophy degrees, these degrees that maybe we didn't see as much value in previously, now becoming immensely valuable because these people have the ability to craft questions, statements that they get the AI to utilize its full potential to solve a problem.
Well, that's maybe a good note to end it on, because really this does all circle all the way back around to, are you asking the right questions in general? We're working with managers and leaders all the time that are having to think of, what's the right question here? I maybe don't have the answer, but what's the right question to help us as an organization or to help my employee get to the next level? And we're even using AI that way. What's the right question to ask this knowledge bank or whatever you'd want to call it? We're back to questions.
Yep, back to questions, asking great questions. Now you've just got this incredibly helpful, let's call it a partner for now. You've got this incredibly, wonderfully smart AI partner that can help you at least begin the initial part of your analysis, your discussion, your thought process. So far, like the guy who's falling, he fell off a 100-story building and he passes a balcony about the 50th floor, and the guy is going, how you doing? He goes, so far so good. we're that guy. We're like, how's this AI thing going? So far so good, seems great. Splat.
And that's why you really do need to be cultivating some wisdom and virtue with your staff, with yourself. I mean, there's some things we need to be doing to make sure we are not hoodwinked by whoever, even if it's accidentally. We need to be on our guard and thinking about what's right and what's wrong. So that's my one hill that I'll die on, but there it is.
All right, and just so everybody knows, we're still using a human narrator for our intros and outgoes. So we tried the AI one, wasn't quite we're up to speed yet, but
it was not.
Till it gets better, we'll always throw it back to Mr. Wolf.
So go ahead and tweet that, or share it any other way you want. As always, there are no rights reserved, no trademarks, no copyrights. Share it if you want to. And join us next time on It Doesn't Take a Genius.
That's good enough.